Hi, welcome back to Wild Speculations. This week we talk about Critical Role Campaign 2, Episode 141, Fond Farewells.
Yes.
I'm Daniel.
I'm Scott.
I thought about announcing the episode as 141 and 142.
Yeah.
But not technically accurate, so...
but also technically accurate.
Yeah. And we will know more about what's coming down the pipe and why specifically, what third party project determined that this season end. Because as we will discuss later, the innumerable loose ends left highlights that it was rushed.
Yeah.
But the episode basically picks up where we left off. And they explore the bag of holding.
Yep.
Because, oh yeah, we got it back now. There's Vet's gun. There's of course the cloven crystal. They kick out a bottle of lionette wine.
Yep.
Apparently there was a sword. I don't remember them.
May have been something the Tomb Takers placed in there.
Yeah, fair. Yeah. Rose agreed.
Yeah.
We got more of Molly's shattered psyche.
Yeah.
Until she cast Greater Restoration.
Mm-hmm.
And kudos to Taliesin for role-playing the -5 penalty you have when Raised Dead is cast.
Yeah.
Without Matt telling him that was the case.
So with Molly, and I don't know if you want to talk about it a little later, because technically a couple things happen between the beginning of the episode and this, but when he gets the new clothes, did you get a Doctor Who vibe from that? Like every regeneration episode of Doctor Who, he sets himself apart by taste, and especially taste in clothes. And I know that Taliesin is an old school Whovian.
He is, yeah.
And I'm just wondering if that fed into it. And then it's like sidetracked me while I was watching it, and I'm like, oh, Doctor Who is just a reborn artificer with an all-purpose tool for the sonic screwdriver. You can now make Doctor Who in D&D.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially, like, you take the telepathic feat.
Yeah.
And stuff, yeah. Minor illusion is one of your cantrips for the ID, yeah. Yeah. But no, I hadn't... You say that, and yeah, that makes perfect sense, but I hadn't put that together in the moment.
Yeah, it gave me that vibe when I was watching it, so...
Well, Rose agrees with you. Yeah, that's... Yeah, and... Yeah. We get some planar lag.
Mm-hmm.
If that's a thing. Probably only from the Feywild, I think. Most other places, time passes as normal. The Astral Sea, time passes, but you don't age.
Time passes as normal in the real world, but still, if you're coming back to America from Africa, and you're crossing so many date lines, there's time lag.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's a valid thing. And I only use that as a reference because I've experienced that firsthand.
Yeah.
When you spend 42 hours in the same day.
Yeah. Well, going east is worse than this way.
Yeah.
But yeah, we get more sending. Jester's messages are just as truncated and cut off as always. And they decide we're going to get our family and we'll come back and have a vacation at the graveyard.
Yeah.
And they don't get all of them.
No.
The ruby and the gentleman remain in Zadash.
Yeah. Parent Trap is, I say, apparently successful because they both threw up some caveats.
Yes. It is, I would put it as cautiously optimistic.
Yes, that's good.
But I think as fanciful as Jester is, her parents are realists.
Mm-hmm.
And they both know that the circumstances that brought them together will never happen again.
Yeah.
And both, for their own reasons, are in prisons of their own making.
Yeah. And it didn't feel like either of them was ready to give up their chosen careers.
Right.
So.
Right.
We also see a bit of Luke's larceny.
Yeah. Some rubies, apparently.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if somebody is going to play Luke Bernardo in Campaign 3.
I don't know. The other thing we learned is that Luke is as observant as his mother. When questioned about the comings and goings of the ruby.
Yeah.
That's a family trait, that low perception. You know to ask the questions and to think about it, but you don't think to notice it.
Yeah. They get back to the grove. Luke and Yeza in tow.
Yep.
And Liam jokes about the assembly attacking. And he's like, is no one going to roll an insight check? And no one's like, no. And then Taliesin humors him and rolls a 19. Which means I think he got he would have had to roll like a 9, because I think he's got a plus 10.
Yeah.
So, not a great roll.
Yeah.
But if you take it against Caleb's passive deception, it still succeeds.
Yeah.
So, but they had a nice little laugh. And then, as Ford is asking a question, Caleb hears another voice.
Yep.
And I, like everyone at the table, initially thought it was sending. Perhaps convenient.
Yeah.
But we find out no, it was not sending.
Nope.
It was message. And they had already sealed the building.
Yep.
And Trent says we wouldn't want a repeat of history. And they smell smoke.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that because Liam has been the best at the table at avoiding his past.
Yeah.
And it was oh so satisfying to have it come and knock. Like literally.
Yeah.
And nobody bothered to try to ask, is he alone? And Matt did not offer that information.
Nope.
So when counter spells start flying, everyone's like, ah! But they all realize this is an escort mission with 2 extended families. Caduceus has 6 family members, I think.
Yep.
Veth has 2. And then, I was going to say Essek is there, but he's not really a family, and he doesn't need escorting.
Yeah.
But Ford, Clutch, casts Arcane Gate.
Yep.
Which I don't think he should have been able to do. Because he used it in the fight against Lucian. And they did not take a rest.
Well,
no, they did take a rest.
They did when they leveled up at the very beginning. Because they all hit 16th level. Then
Caleb's Death Ward was incorrect.
Yes.
So, yeah. Well, that's iffy. No, Death Ward is only 8 hours. It's not 24. So, yeah. Taliesin there with a little planar lag.
Yeah.
But Bo is planning a Santa Claus escape.
Yep.
To stealth up through the chimney and do something. She asks for blessing of the trickster. Jester gives it to her with a little helping of Artagan, and Bo is displeased. But I think it's the first time she's ever asked for that.
I think it's the first time anyone's specifically asked Jester to give it to them, not just like, who needs it, or I give it to this person.
No, you're right. It's true.
I think it's the first time anyone brought it up without Jester bringing it up first.
Yeah. Which for me, in hindsight, is sort of ended up being a good indicator. Because this fight, in a lot of ways, was the perfect finale fight.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, the Lucian fight was dangerous and epic and everything. But this one, all of them had to use their abilities, their class abilities that make them who they are, basically. And they were callbacks galore.
Yeah.
Fluffernutter. Sam jokes about shooting Bo.
Yeah.
Because she's in a tree.
The idea of the collar.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a throwback line to a long time ago, before they went north.
When they first were in the Happy Time.
When they first got the collar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Trent cast Time Stop. And when he does that, it was like, oh, this is on. And it was just so good. And yeah, Rose, Ford is another example of just this combat being beginning to end. It's as the perfect bookend.
Yeah.
From his accent coming back to his mannerisms.
Yep.
Like, yeah, everything. It seemed like he cast that from an item, though. Time Stop. Did you get that impression, or do you think that was just flavor?
I didn't get that impression, but
Because he
I can
talked
see.
about it was a necklace
Yeah.
and he touched it and it shattered.
Yeah, but I mean, I can see that. You know, I didn't like my brain didn't put that together, but I can see that, so I'm not sure.
And Bernato's history repeats.
Mm-hmm.
Veth says, "I can't believe I'm saying this, but you need to run away, and I need to go deal with this."
Yeah.
And she said that, and it was a nice, poignant moment between the two of them. And I was like, "This is so going to be different than the last time."
Yeah.
For a myriad of reasons. And she sets up Fluffernutter.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how legal it was.
I don't know.
Because we never discuss how heavy Fluffernutter is.
Yeah.
But it seems like they are small enough that she carries them on her person. So maybe grenade size, which would be under the 10 pounds.
Right.
10-pound limit of Mage Hand. And eliminates the timing factor of tossing it in an arc, praying it just...
Yep.
I'm going to put it right there. The equivalent of an airburst link in Shadowrun. It's going to explode there. Caduceus, keeping with the theme of everyone calling back to old standbys, cast Bless.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of, in Talison's demeanor, you can kind of see the seething rage building in Caduceus. And it reminded me of a conversation he had with Yasha. And because she was remarking how he never seems upset or angry, he always seems fairly level. And he's like, "Oh, I can get angry." And she's like, "I'd like to see that."
Yeah.
Well, this is what it took.
Yeah.
And the way that they are revealed, counterspells.
Yep.
First from Aelwulf, and then from Astrid.
Yep.
And again, just so perfect. Do you think Astrid came hoping the Mighty Nine would overcome Trent? Or do you think she had accepted the fact that she was going there to kill Caleb?
No, she was hoping they would overcome. You notice they didn't actually have to approach her about switching sides.
Only because Jester casts
Well,
Dominate Person.
even after the save, though.
Well, by then the battle had turned.
Yeah.
They had dispelled his defenses. Aelwulf
Yeah.
was almost dead. Like, the tide had already turned by that point.
But I don't think... I think Astrid is an opportunist. I think she had plans to side with whoever won. But I think she was hoping... Because we know she's been planning to unseat Trent anyway.
Yeah.
And we've discussed before that she had plans to use Bren and his group.
Yeah.
And I think she came with the hope that the tide would turn. She was not going to show her hand to Trent before it had to be done.
Yeah.
And she has the excuse. And I don't think... Because if I remember right, when he cast Dominate Person, when Jester cast Dominate Person, Matt didn't roll.
No, he did.
He did? Because he looked down for a second, and I didn't hear the roll, and he was like, it takes.
No, he rolled, and she rolled a 16 or 17.
Okay.
It was just below her.
Because I was like, my impression was that she wanted to fail it. Because that allows her to act in the interest that she wants, but not take the blame.
I mean, that's fair, and I think that gets to why exactly her demeanor didn't change.
Yeah.
Because she was planning.
She was planning this anyway.
Yeah.
I think Aelwulf did not have faith in using Caleb. I'm sure that Astrid had talked to Aelwulf.
No.
I think that there's still a couple.
I think Aelwulf is a liability that Astrid can't afford. And I think she uses their past whenever she needs to control him.
Okay. Maybe I'm a little more optimistic, which I think this is the first time I've ever said that about between the two of us. I think she trusted Aelwulf. I don't think Aelwulf was as willing. I think when she bounced ideas off him, it was more of hypotheticals because he didn't feel it was time. He didn't think they could. He had a more pessimistic attitude of it, and I think that in his mind, he thought it was all hypotheticals, like a dream one day will overthrow Trent. And he was there ready to follow Trent. But when the tide turned, he was like, okay, she was right.
Mm.
But again, maybe for once I'm the optimistic one.
Yeah. Yeah. I think because of what he did to her, he was prepared to kill Trent. And she... Yeah. Anyway, Toffnader, I had not considered that he was a simulacrum. But if he was, Matt would have said so when they were going over the trial.
Yeah, that would have been revealed in the trial.
An interesting idea, but yeah, I don't think... Trent doesn't strike me as someone who would let a copy of themselves be out there.
Yeah. I mean, I can see him having a copy to boot himself up into.
Yeah, I could see him having a clone, yeah.
But...
which is probably why he's been so hell-bent on kill me. I dare you, kill me.
Yeah, because that gets him out of the predicament he's in.
Yeah. But I loved Laura's, this is Wizard's chest.
Yeah.
It made me laugh. And then Trent assaults the garden. Kills 15-foot square, I think, of it. And you could tell Taliesin just changed his demeanor.
Yeah.
Immediately. Like, he was already upset you're burning my house. And then that happened. And the next turn that he has, path to the grave.
Yep.
You were gonna die, motherfucker. I was sad for Ashley when she popped her wings and said she had a 30-foot fly speed. And I'm just like, Because the barbarian unarmored movement adds to all of your speeds.
Mm.
Mobile feat adds to all of your speeds.
Yeah.
So doesn't matter. Her speed is 55 or 50 or whatever it is.
50.
So yeah, I was sad, but it didn't ultimately matter. She had enough movement to get up to him.
Yeah.
And we see that her attacks have no effect.
Yep.
And she's a little disheartened by that. And then Astrid, glyph chant is what he called it.
Yeah.
And sort of his motions reminded me a bit of a haka.
Mm.
So it's neither here nor there, but that's what entered my mind. Like I said, Jester dominates Astrid. And Caleb, or Liam, expresses confusion when Eowulf doesn't manifest paladin abilities.
Yeah.
It's like, I thought for sure he'd be paladin. He's like, and Matt reminds him, you can follow a deity and not be, it doesn't affect your class.
Yeah. Of course, I always thought an Arcana cleric would be a good full striker.
Yeah. But, and then, as Rose was excited about, we get Ford facing off against another sword wielder.
Yep.
And lots of sexual tension in the moment, or hexual, as the joke was made at the table. And I was looking at Liam, and I'm like, Caleb is aroused. Okay. Essek tethers essence between the now pathed to the grave,
Yeah.
Trent and Eowulf. And they're like, yeah. And that's why Yasha goes up and attacks him.
Yeah.
And basically in 2 hits, almost kills him.
Yep.
So seemingly, he had wizard hit points.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was funny. But equally funny was Caduceus checking in on everybody who needs healing and stuff. Says to Ford, "Are you okay? Are you still up?" And Travis nods. He says, "Are you okay?" Travis is like, "Yeah." And I was doing the math, and when Taliesin asked that, he still had over 150 hit points.
Yeah. So
I'm not sure
okay.
exactly how much, but in the moment I was like, he's got 150 hit points. Yeah, Rose.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. And then they start dispelling Trent's defenses.
Yep.
Systematically taking him out. And his lackeys no longer have the capacity to counterspell for him.
Or desire. Because they very specifically, does Eowulf counterspell? No, Eowulf does nothing.
Yeah. And Eowulf casts Dimension Door. And Caleb counterspells that.
Yep.
Which I thought was interesting. And he basically implies to him, this is death ground. We're either all going to defeat Trent, or you're gonna die before I do. Basically, it's like you can join me or die.
Yeah.
And if you join me, we're gonna take him out.
Yeah. Tells him to change the narrative.
Yeah. And Caduceus, every bonus action for 2 turns is healing wording Caleb.
Yep.
And he's passed to the grave of the turn before, and then he dashes, thinking he's putting himself closer to Caleb than he did. But he specifically did say he was avoiding the fight between Yasha, Ford, and Airwolf. And Caleb and Essek had moved away from the house.
Mm-hmm.
So he was outside of the 30-foot range when Trent crit Caleb.
Yeah.
Which dropped him. And the confusion over Death Ward. Talus says, oh, Death Ward. Oh, yeah. But if they had gotten the rest, that wouldn't have been in play anymore. Not that I think it changes anything, because it just means Taliesin would have dumped a high-level healing word or moved over there and cast Cure Wounds, dumping a bunch of hit points into Caleb.
Yeah.
Because Ford is the one who counterspells Trent trying to escape.
Yep. At the 5th level.
Yeah. Which again is where we get more of the twang come back.
Yep.
And I love the aside. I don't remember specifically how it came up. But Taliesin says, oh yeah, no, Molly's just like in the Incredible Hulk just walking down the road. So I was like, yeah, he's David Banner just walking. Bo has another plan to do dope monk shit.
Mm-hmm.
And raises the ante on that collar by having Veth put Sovereign Glue on it.
Yeah.
And Matt is so nice to not have her make a dexterity save in all of that movement. Not
to accidentally grab it.
Yeah. Although it does take a minute to set. So even if she gets a bit, in theory, she could wipe it off. But yeah. And this was also the most perfect set of events we've seen of hold action, trigger the action, hold action, trigger the action.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
And
of course, Sam has to be Sam about it. Okay, so she does monk shit, but is it dope? Because I specifically said she's leaping off a tree branch, the edge of a, the tip of a tree branch. That's pretty dope.
Yeah.
That's Crouching Tiger and Dragon type dope.
She would have jumped 24 feet.
Yep.
I am unsure of the specific distances. Except they were about 30 feet away from him.
Right. I was going to say, I was under the impression it was 30 feet, so she would have essentially missed him by 1 square.
Yeah. But with Gust, she's airborne enough. Matt lets her make the grapple check. She rolls a 21 on her athletics check.
And spending Fortune's favor, he gets a 19.
Yeah. And so that expertise she put in athletics.
At the very, very beginning with her variant human prodigy feat.
Yeah. Pays off. Big time.
Yep. Because she would have failed if she didn't have expertise.
Yep.
Because it would have been 5 less.
Yep.
So it would have been 16 to 19.
Yeah. So, yeah, so good.
That's what you call a callback.
Yeah. And so that was all cool. And as I said, the perfect ready action trigger
Yes.
that we've ever seen on the show.
And that scene was my initial, because I worked Thursday night, and that scene was the first scene that I saw. Like, the first scene I saw was when they were discussing the plan. Okay, I'm gonna climb up, and wait for that. Okay, I went.
Yeah.
That was like right where I came in. So I was like, oh shit, yes.
Nice. But my favorite part of that moment is Ashley's face.
Yes.
When she claps that collar on. It's like, Yasha is aroused. Because she's just like, so good.
Yeah.
So good.
And it's the same look Marisha has later on when Yasha shit-talking Trent. I resist the urge to make out with Yasha.
Yes. And I love Caleb dispels the fly from the boots.
Yeah.
And Trent falls with Bo on him. And I love Travis.
8 seconds.
I loved him. Write him down like Dr. Strange.
Yeah.
Absolutely perfect. Because, I mean, arguably, a wizard capable of casting 9th level spells is a weapon of mass destruction.
Yes. Yeah.
And I don't know. One of the best moments in the fight also follows up, which is Jester casting heal on Caleb.
Yeah.
Which I think if she hadn't, like, there were a lot of things, like Astrid probably would have killed Trent if Caleb hadn't been talking.
Yeah. No, she definitely would have. She was ready to, and he makes the argument that changes,
Yeah. And then Veth summoning the ghost of Caleb's parents.
Yeah.
Silhouette to be backlit by the burning clay family home, just pointing. Was awesome. And hit Liam pretty hard. So good.
Some goes to Christmas past shit right there.
Yeah. And as, I don't know, a thank you, maybe? Or as sort of a paying it forward to Caleb, spares the dying on Aedwulf.
Yeah.
When he collapses because of the shared...
Because of the fall, yeah.
Yeah.
The link.
I kind of want to know why Caduceus did that. Especially because Aedwulf has that holy symbol of the Raven Queen.
Yeah.
And he's desecrating a church that is
but
directly connected to the Raven Queen.
I think Caduceus understands that, at best these two are semi-willing pawns in Trent's schemes. That if it hadn't been for Trent, they wouldn't have done this. And, it's kind of like, you got wrapped up with the wrong people, dumbass, do better.
It's fair. And
he especially, of all the Mighty Nine, in fact, probably the only one of the Mighty Nine,
Is not
except
a
for
cold-blooded
maybe
killer.
except for maybe Jester. Well, what I was going to say is more understanding of, retribution needs to go to who it needs to go to, not blanket everybody semi-connected.
It's fair. And he certainly has a high enough passive perception to have seen Aodwolf sheathe his sword.
Yeah.
And Ford let him go.
Yeah.
So, it's fair. But that's basically the end of the dangerous part, and the best example of the campaign of roleplay being combat, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to go essentially turn by turn. In my notes, it's turn by turn, action by action almost. So, yeah, it was just, for me, even better than the Lucian fight. The summing up of the campaign. The bookend.
I mean, not only that, but it was, like you said, roleplay is combat, combat is roleplay. It was a perfect example of that, of how we've always said combat should be.
Yeah. And both clerics use their channel divinity in it. Both, like, Yasha uses her wings that she very rarely uses.
Yep.
Like, everyone hit something that they don't, and Veth using something new that she learned to set off the Fluffernutter.
Yep.
So she's using old and new.
Yep.
Just, yeah. So good.
Bo making more tactical use of her key points rather than just flurry.
Yes.
Caleb pleading with Aodwolf,
Yeah.
And part of the reason I said Astrid had already determined that is because Caleb never broached the subject with her. And he had the opportunity.
It's fair.
But he did speak to Aodwolf. And in the end, they both choose Brent. I mean, yes, the fight had turned. It was a losing battle, but they come back.
Yeah.
To help.
Allow themselves to be deposed.
Yeah.
They talk about, Rose, Ford not running off into the corner and shooting off Eldritch Blast, actually going in and melee.
Actually being a paladin.
Yes.
Not being a warlock.
Yes. Although the mistake Travis made was not making his attacks against Trent at disadvantage.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. Very proud of them.
But they talk about what are we going to do with Vess, or about Vess. And Bo demonstrating her growth and influence of Caduceus. Maybe we just tell the truth.
Yeah.
So good. Kingsley gets the whip.
Yep.
And they talk about going back to, Jester mentions taking him to Rumblecusp. And Ford's like, we're going back? And she's like, yeah.
The Beauregard. That's a stupid name. You named it. Sorry, the fucking Beauregard. That's better.
Yeah. A circus man with a whip. I hadn't made that connection.
Yep.
But yes. I don't know. Personally, I have always liked the aesthetic of a tiefling with a whip.
Yeah.
Especially if you have attacks that add extra damage. Just because it's reach, so you can do a lot.
Yeah. That's that whole devilish BDSM side to them.
Yeah. Sam being Sam taps out first.
Yep.
Veth.
And well, arguably Beth has the most reason to.
Oh, yeah.
Beth's been on the edge of doing that for the longest time.
Yeah.
You know, and we've talked about that.
Yeah. Well, and like, this was supposed to be a week-long vacation in the woods in a nice temple, and look what it turned into.
Yeah.
So I think Veth's like,
yeah, her son being in danger a second time.
Yeah.
She's just like,
no.
no.
I appreciate what you guys want to do. I'm out. I'm going home.
Yeah.
And Caduceus basically says the same thing.
Yeah. I'm out. I am home.
Yeah. You guys are welcome here anytime. And
if you absolutely need me, I'll come.
Yeah, but I'm home. Part of me kind of, like, I know why Matt didn't, but, like, part of me wished they had put, like, sound-canceling earphones on. Until Matt basically signaled we're in the denouement now.
Oh.
I want to know what you guys are doing. Just because, like, they wouldn't be there. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense, and there's no reason for them to have done it.
Yeah.
Except that I think having them get up from the table would have made the departure a little more visceral around the table, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But again, it didn't. Ultimately, doesn't matter.
Yeah. And for Taliesin, he had Kingsley anyway.
Yeah. Yasha asks for seeds, which I thought was, in the moment, interesting. I was like, is she gonna be a Johnny Appleseed? Or, although I think what she was thinking is, I'm gonna settle down with Bo and I'm gonna plant a garden.
Yeah. See, in the moment, I thought she was going to plant them at Zuela's grave. She had been collecting the flowers throughout the campaign. It was going to be her, her ending, which it kind of was, but it was. But when it comes to that time, it turns out it wasn't her plan in asking for them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think in the moment when she asked for them, she was thinking, I'm going to plant these in the garden in mine and Bo's house.
Yeah. And I just love that the barbarian's end goal is to be a housewife.
So good. I love the hell out of that because, like, Grog's his denouement was, and I drink and fight every night at the Temple of Cord.
Yep. She's like, I make cookies for my wife.
Yeah. But it's their happy place.
It is. It's amazing.
Grog was happiest fighting and getting hit.
And all she ever wanted was to be a wife,
Yeah.
To have a wife. And she gets that.
Yeah. I love that she says, the way she said it too, I'm going to be your Yeza.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of the ending here, the stories, I was choked up for a lot of it.
Oh, yeah.
I was teary-eyed,
Yeah. Veth finally delivers Vilya's gift to Caduceus.
Yep. And gives Luke the ring of water walking.
Yes.
Because he won't get into any mischief with that.
Well, I think giving that ring to him was to ensure that what happened to her never happens to him.
It was. Especially when she asks Yeza about, you like Nicodranas? Well, I like Felderwind, but, that was my home growing up.
Yeah.
But Luke likes it. He likes the water. And Sam's face kind of went, oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Me too, Russ.
They trade. Jester realizes, oh, I have your breastplate. Do you want it back? And Caduceus is like, I mean, yeah. And he gives her his shield. She gives him his shield. They didn't say it, but presumably he also gave her the armor that he's wearing.
Yeah.
Currently, which was found as well. So, otherwise, Jester went on without armor and just a shield. But there's a lot of item 3-card ante going on at the end here. Essek leaves, bidding them adieu.
Mm-hmm.
And Caleb basically implies, I'll see you soon. Neither Essek or Caleb changed their form.
Yeah.
Essek helped them create the spell that changed Veth back. And the price for that help was to learn the spell.
Yeah, he got it in his book too.
Seems to me a guy that's on the run, that's how you do it. But
yeah.
It's never done. And they never... I was super happy when Liam is describing in part of his denouement when they go back to Aor and they go to that room. And he's talking about how Caleb thinks about the plan that he's had this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Flashpoint.
Yeah, it was.
It was, I'm going to go back, I'm going to make the younger self believe I killed my parents. I'm going to stash them away across the world.
Yep.
And in 20 years, I'm going to bring them home.
And tell them, just visit this square once a week. I'll show up. And then drags the dust up his arm.
And disintegrates everything. It might have worked. But here's the big problem in his plan.
Okay.
If he's going to send him to Taldore, especially Amon, 20 years ago, there were 5 ancient chromatic dragons laying waste to that city.
Yeah, this would have been during the rebuilding phase, but yes. Ish. Well, yeah, because if it's 20 years after the campaign ends.
Yeah.
Campaign ended with Vecna, and there was a whole downtime section between the Chroma Conclave and Vecna.
That's right.
So it would have been during the rebuilding phase, but they would have been there for Vecna.
Yeah. Yeah. So, it's not a guarantee that they would have survived the 20 years, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. And yeah, it was definitely more than a professional relationship between Caleb and Essek.
Well, Matt tweeted, and apparently there was some confusion, and I thought it was crystal clear that they were romantically involved.
Yeah.
In the denouement. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no,
I thought it was crystal clear.
I did too. And I was here for it,
Yeah.
It's like I told you after last week's episode, the one thing we can be sure for Campaign 3 is Liam will have a romantic interest in a male NPC and a female PC. And you asked me why I thought that. And I said, Keyleth and Gilmore, Essek and Jester.
Yeah.
That's just who Liam is.
Yeah. Especially since given permission by Matt in campaign 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. Bo helps Yasha mourn.
Yes.
First thing they say they go do after all the trials are done is we're going to Jorhas. And we get finally closure and evidence that I was wrong when I said that Yasha killed everybody in her tribe.
Yeah.
Apparently she killed a lot of people, but not everybody.
Yes.
I
I think she probably killed the ruling caste that ordered the death of.
Well, the Sky Spear and anyone who came to her defense.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I kind of wonder if Matt was prepared for that to go into a combat.
No. I don't think it was intended to go into a combat.
Really?
Because the lightning strike. That was the Stormlord telling them, no, you don't touch her. I think even if she had stood there sword drawn, the lightning strike would have happened, they would have veered off.
I have no evidence to contradict that. But I think Matt was going to try to give Bo and Yasha a potential last hurrah, as it were, to call back to their date in the tower.
Mm. Okay, I mean, I can see that, but
because they would have all been fairly low CR people, I think.
Yeah.
And 1 or 2 hits, they would have been taken out. And after 1 or 2 rounds, they would have retreated. I don't think Matt would have planned it to be a long, drawn-out thing. But because Ashley
humbled herself.
And because she wasn't here as the orphan maker, she bowed, and that's why Matt said, okay, we'll take the...
Okay. Yeah. My take was that the lightning strike would have come either way, that this is my avatar, my chosen.
Yeah.
You know, she's not that person, or she's been redeemed from that person.
Yeah, Rose and I are on the same page. I thought it was going to be a dust him up, and it would be for Ashley to say, I'm not trying to kill all these people, or to kill a couple of them, and then they run, and she lets them go.
Yeah.
But the way it ended was arguably better.
Yeah.
And she got the information she needed. Mm-hmm. Where did you bury her? And they go. Yasha succeeds on the survival check, and Beauregard succeeds on the investigation.
Yeah.
And they find where she's buried. And I don't know if this was planned.
Gut-wrenching.
Yeah. I don't know if Matt planned it this way from the very beginning of the campaign, or when Ashley took the bit of lightning burned wood off that tree in the fields north of Zadash. But she's buried near a lightning burned tree. And they have a moment, and Bo even says something over the grave. That was probably the hardest hitting moment of that scene.
Especially when she's like, I can't even don't want to know the sacrifice you made to make me the luckiest woman in the world.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh god.
Yeah.
And then she gives her the idea to plant the seed.
Yeah, and like, I kind of need to go back and watch it now because I want to watch Taliesin in that moment because I don't remember his reaction. I was focused on the two of them.
Yeah, me too. Same.
But now I kind of want to go back and watch that moment and see what Taliesin was doing when she said, because like it's too perfect in the worldview of Caduceus. Like, here's a champion of the Stormlord going to the gravesite of her wife with seeds from a garden tended to by the Wild Mother as a gift to the Raven Queen and her champion. It's like, it's too perfect, and I can't. I now really have to go watch Taliesin in that moment. Because in my head, he'll have the biggest shit-eating grin on his face. And we are going to go over tonight because there's no talks like we thought there was, but probably not much longer.
No. You know, my headcanon, because she's still working for the Cobalt Reserve. Anyone else picturing Bo and Yasha as just like a jacked up Sherlock and Holmes?
Sherlock and Watson, yeah.
Yeah, Sherlock and Watson. Rooting out the corruption.
Yes. Juxtaposed with Jester and Veth doing whatever it is they do.
Yeah.
As private investigators.
Yeah. I mean, you can even argue that, the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock, his fighting style is, give him that monk level.
Yeah. For sure, yeah. Jester and Ford go to get Vandrin.
Yep.
And this is after they have planned to buy a house and make home base Nicodranus.
Yes.
And he tells her, I'm happiest out there. It's where I want to be.
Yeah.
And she basically says, I'll go with you.
Yeah.
And we'll always come home here.
The only thing about this that confused me is when Ford talks to Vandrin. He talks about your curse is, it's still mine. But he's very specifically not a warlock of Vukotoa anymore. He switched his patrons to the Wild Mother. There was a whole role play, like it took 2 episodes to fully play out.
He was plunging the sword into his chest before throwing it into the lava.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the very next thing, all his stuff was described as a more Wild Mother feel, all his warlock stuff. And
well, yeah, Rose. And it wasn't Travis realizing it. It was Laura being brilliant that pointed out, what are we going to do? We're always getting attacked. And he's like, oh shit, I can't go and spend the rest of my life on the sea. And then they say, we will secure the temple working with the Cobalt Soul.
Yeah.
The last remaining key. Or lock, I should say. Implying that they are going to hide the key with the Cobalt Soul.
I still stand by my argument that it was safest on the Astral Sea. Because no one that would willingly give up the information came back from the Astral Sea.
It's fair. Yeah. Exactly, Rose. But it is Travis, and we know how his memory is.
Yeah.
But to me, the biggest confusing moment of that was the scene read very much like Ford is coming and trying to impress his papa.
Yeah. Which
Those
just put a
Papa
whole
what?
weird spin on the dad saying, "Oh yeah, I had this girlfriend Avantika."
Well, that to me was straight out of Last Crusade.
Yeah.
When Indy and her...
I'm as young as the next guy. I was the next guy. Yeah.
Yeah. And when she's talking to Indy and he can't see it and he thinks he's talking to... Yeah. That's where my mind went in that moment.
Very much, yes.
But yeah, the fact that he didn't say, I got rid of it. Like, well, he didn't even tell Vander he had the crystal.
No, he showed him an illusion of it.
Yeah. But that he didn't tell him, I serve a new master.
Yeah.
Now. Or a new mistress. The Wild Mother saved me.
And then the fact that, I know the roll was high, but Mandarin's like, this guy's got the curse, ships get attacked with and yeah, sure, I'll go with you on your boat.
Yeah, well...
The thing I'm hiding, I'm trying to be done with. Sure, I'll go with you, who, as far as I know, is the new holder of said.
Yeah. Or he went just to see if Ford indeed was not corrupted.
Yeah.
We also don't get a why that what's his face betrayed them and blew up the ship. We never get an answer to that.
Yeah. There's a few things we don't get answers to. They talk about possibly confronting Sabin. We do find that Kingsley tags along, learns sailing.
Yes.
Ford becomes an admiral. And then Kingsley absconds with the ship to join the revelry.
Yeah.
Campaign 3 Plank King? Or do we get a Ford on the High Seas one-shot where Sabin and Kingsley have made friends? Because Kingsley doesn't know nothing about him.
No. Based on Travis's reaction, and I think it would be Ford's reaction, it was, well done.
Yeah. Well, I mean...
He didn't hold any begrudging or anything.
Right, no. But if Kingsley becomes the Plank King, they can go back to Darktow. He can undo the banishment.
Yeah. Well, Rose, there won't be a hunt for Sabian one-shot because Ford put that bounty hunter on him. And we never got that resolution either.
Yeah. We also never got, and I was reminded in this episode because in the beginning they treated Molly like Kiri.
Yeah.
With the go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
We
had a Kiri callback.
Why did nobody check on Kiri? Just before they went to Cognoza, just before they delved into it, they sent her a message, and she said, I built something.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know what that was!
Yeah.
And who's playing Kiri? So we've got Luke, we've got Kiri the Artificer. Maybe that's what Liam picked for Sam, a Kenku Artificer.
Oh, Trophinator. Oh! Game of Thrones Season 8.
Nice.
I don't know if I would go that level, but there's a lot of loose ends left. I mean, it was fairly satisfying. Like I said, that fight was great. And a lot of the denouement stuff was very touching. So it's not season 8 of Game of Thrones. Much better than that. But a lot of loose ends that they didn't even touch on.
They never went to the Silver Salt Palace.
Yep. The Silver Salt Palace wasn't explored. Sabian wasn't tied up. Kiri. And then we get into the guest stars.
Yeah.
That, who knows?
Yeah.
They mentioned Rini to Essek.
Essek evidently got a flower crown.
But
Shikasta,
Rini, Keg,
Neela.
And when they first went back to the Grove originally, Suma Lee tweeted about it, and I was like, you not being there was the saddest part of that episode.
Yeah.
Because at least mentioned that she left. Like, we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Neela didn't strike me as the kind of person that would make that pledge and wander off.
Yeah, no.
So I would like also Caliana.
Yep.
If Ford and Jester are making their home base in Nicodranas, they'd be a heck of a lot nearer to Caliana.
Well, her thing was from Portamali, right?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, so her and Twiggy both, because Ford said, I've got some shit to tie up in Port Damali, but yes, let's make Nicodranas our home.
Yeah.
Meaning they had to have gone to Port Damali.
Yeah.
You know? So there's room for future one-shots.
Yeah.
Like the wedding and stuff.
Okay, Tofnir. Very rushed, yes. Very rushed. And like I said, this is what I expected to happen.
Yeah.
With them, this is the last episode. And then they announce it's over a 7-hour episode. Okay, that's what this is going to be.
Yeah, it would have been a 12-hour episode if they had tied up all the loose ends.
Yeah. Or we could have just had more episodes.
Nope, it had to end at 141. There's something special about that number. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I don't know. But also, they never specified returning all of the items that they had.
No, the only one they made mention of is that Caleb intended to return the staff to Allura.
Yeah.
And they handed Yusa back his rod.
Yeah.
The Holy Avenger never went back, which means Magician's Judge never got picked up.
But did it, though? And
I think due to like Matt tweeting, or saying, I don't remember if it was a tweet or a statement, but that he'd given the Holy Avenger, but no one, and he came back in this campaign. I think it was intended to stay permanently with Yasha. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, the fact that they didn't specify that they didn't return the items, means as Rose points out, Kat didn't get to meet Keyleth.
But the 18th, Friday, we do have the Vox Machina Mighty Nine crossover episode.
Mm-hmm.
So they will meet.
Cad's not in that.
Cad's not?
No. Taliesin is playing Percy and a 15th level Molly.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I
didn't see that statement.
Yeah, to make it 4v4, Taliesin's playing 2. He drew the short straw. So. Okay. Final speculation, I guess. for the one shot. Mighty Nine are going to clean the clock. They're going to wipe the floor with Vox Machina.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. It's Bo. Bo, Molly, Ford, and
Jester?
Jester.
Because she's on the cover art.
Yes. Against Percy, Vax, Pike, and Scanlan. It's not even going to be close. Like,
are they reducing the level of the Vox
yes,
Machina characters?
they're both going to be 15th level.
Okay.
So the Mighty Nine, as they are now.
Well, the Mighty Nine are dropping a level then.
Well, as they were at the beginning of this, when they fought Lucian. And Vox Machina, the start of the Chroma Conclave.
Yeah, around there.
And they don't have their tank. They've got a Bard for control. Percy is their DPS. He's their... And Vax. But Vax is dependent on sneak attack.
Yeah.
And he's the most mobile of that crew. Scanlan pulled some interesting shenanigans in the level 20 blowout when it was all of them against each other. And this is a team battle, but like, I don't know. Like, to me, it's an easy bet. Mighty Nine are going to win. And I don't even think it's going to go past 4 rounds.
Scanlan versus Jester. I'm trying to match up the Ford and Percy.
Bo and Vax.
That would leave Pike and Molly. I think maybe just because of the mobility. Pike's a decent fighter.
Yeah.
I
mean, arguably she's the tank.
Oh, she's also easily the tank.
She's the tank and healer, which puts her in double danger.
Yeah.
Where the Mighty Nine don't have a healer, but their tank is Bo.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I don't know. I don't think it'll be as big a wipe as you think it will. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, Rose. Let's hope Taliesin learned. So that is the weak link is Taliesin playing 2 characters.
Yeah.
And it's a weak link for the Mighty Nine. Because he is very familiar with Percy.
Yeah.
He is not going to be familiar with Mollymock. Because...
And if we learned anything from him playing Molly, it's that he doesn't fully understand the nuance of the Blood Hunter and when to not amplify your abilities.
No, fair. But Matt has since changed those mechanics since that fight.
A bit, yeah.
So, but yeah, like all he has to do is blind Vax, and no more sneak attack.
Yeah.
That's done. Ford, Marine Layer. No more sneak attack. Like, the Mighty Nine just have so many abilities to cripple Vox Machina. And Vox Machina have no answer that I can think of. The only thing that's hard to counter for Vox Machina is Percy and Bad News. Because it's such long range.
Yeah.
But if he's that far out, that leaves the other three to be surrounded by the four of them.
Yeah. Well,
So-
that's kind of why I put Percy against Ford, because I assume Ford will hang back in Eldritch Blast.
Except that, I mean, he might, but this fight that we just had shows he might not. Especially with Bo being Sentinel.
Yeah.
Because if they can just get in on Pike, if Pike attacks Ford, Bo hits her. Bo has Stunning Strike, so, like, Scanlan has Hold Person, and I think Pike can also prepare Hold Person. So,
Yeah.
but
Well, and Scanlan has Polymorph. But so
Yes.
does Jester.
and the
That'll
thing,
be interesting. Merlin Mim now.
but the thing is, only Ford has a low Wisdom. Beauregard has super good Wisdom save. Jester is really good at it. So the targets for Polymorph are not. It's not a thick field.
Yeah.
Turn
Ford into a turtle.
Okay, I can see Sam turning himself into a turtle to go after Ford.
I can see him turning Ford into a turtle just to see Travis's face.
I think it's funnier if he turns into a turtle and attacks Ford.
True.
And yeah, Rose, if they don't control Bo, that's it.
Yeah.
Stunning Strike, Flurry of Blows. And you say that they might they have a chance of initiatives on their side. Bo has boots that allow her to roll an extra D8 on her initiative.
Yeah.
So the initiative is not going to be on their side. Unless the dice are just so bad.
The initiative is going to come between Bax and Bo.
Yeah.
They're going to be the two. They're going to be the. It depends on which one of them ends up going first.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's up in the air. Ashley lately has been rolling good, but is notorious for rolling bad on initiative. Jester is either really high or really low. Same with Ford.
Yeah, it's not even, like, in my opinion, it's not even going to be close. Unless Matt weights it somehow in the terrain.
I agree that the Mighty Nine will probably win. I don't think it's going to be as lopsided as you think it is.
Yes, Rose, monks are too good at PvP. As demonstrated in Campaign 2, when Jester picked a fight with Bo, used Inflict Wounds, and Bo knocked her out with her fists.
Yeah. Don't
yeah.
monk shit.
Yeah. So. And also, items could play a factor. Does Vax have the wings? Now, that is one thing that
well, if it's where they were
Vox
at
Machina
15th,
has.
yes.
Vox Machina has more vestiges
Yeah,
than the Mighty
because
Nine.
at 15th level, I'm pretty sure they all had vestiges.
Yeah.
Because, yeah. They either all had
Pike
them.
didn't have hers at that
Yes.
point, but I'm pretty sure Vax had his.
Because they had about half of their vestiges.
Yeah.
Percy had his.
Yeah.
Scanlan doesn't have his yet, I don't think. The rapier.
Grog is iffy with the Titan Stone knuckles.
Grog had them.
Well, he's not in the fight, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. That was the first vestige they picked up. If I remember
No,
right.
they didn't get that till after they defeated Kevdak, which was during the
that's right.
Conclave.
Yeah. I think the armor, the rapier, and the Titan Stone knuckles were the ones that were picked up during the Chroma Conclave.
Yeah.
The rest of them they had previously.
But anyway, we shall see what happens. And we will probably stream the following Tuesday to discuss that one shot.
Yeah.
Because predictions were made, so we must bask in glory or
Eat crow.
so we will see you guys then. Talk to you later.
I guess.
Bye.